No matter what it is you do for a career, you gotta get good sleep. Now, in my opinion, sleep is almost like an underrated super drug, right? Before you start biohacking, taking supplements, and doing all these crazy things, you gotta make sure you have the right foundations for sleep, because that's gonna be the main thing that's gonna directly influence your growth as well as your energy levels and how you feel during the day. Now, for me, I used to be someone that struggled a lot when it came to getting quality sleep. I wouldn't get enough sleep, or wouldn't feel that refreshed when I did go to sleep and woke up the next day. So, that all changed when I started becoming more aware of it and starting to do specific tactics to improve my sleep. And so in this video, I'm gonna be sharing my best tactics to hopefully get you to get some better sleep. Now, before we go ahead and get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the first tip I have for you is you're gonna want to reduce your short-term dopamine. Now, the mistake that I made in the past was this, during the workday, I would work really hard and, do this and that, and it's all focused, great. And then after, when I'm finished work, I feel tired, I feel like I deserve a reward, so I just kind of zombie out, right? I'm like watching Netflix on my computer, watching YouTube, eating candy and sweets and fatty foods, just whatever, right? Because I'm like, I deserve it, I worked hard during the day, I can do whatever I want at night because the next day I'm gonna work again. But the problem with doing this is that even though you're kind of separating of when you're working and when you're doing everything else, I was actually just like charging my brain with a lot of dopamine, right? Because like TV or video games or candy, sweets, fatty foods, they all give you this short-term dopamine that makes you feel like you keep wanting more, right? And let me know in the comments if this ever happened to you. Like you're on your phone and you're just like scrolling through Facebook or something, and it's just like you're scrolling, you're laying in bed, you're scrolling, and the next thing you know, it's like 1 a.m. and you wonder like, what did I even do with my time? And whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, whatever your choice of platform, they all kind of follow the same format in terms of getting people glued to their phones, right? And every time we refresh the screen, we get this hit of dopamine and we want to keep on going and you never get tired of it. So I'm sure this is a problem that many people resonate with. So here is how I personally fixed it. And so what I did was I just kind of did things to remove Facebook out of my life, right? And I still have Facebook, I still use it for business purposes and I use the events, it's quite useful, but I don't need my feed, right? So I deleted Facebook completely from my phone, so I can't go on Facebook on my phone. I deleted the app, but I can go on Facebook on Safari, which is a terrible experience, but the more friction there is, the less I want to use it. And not only that, but I got a Facebook feed eradicator for Safari, meaning that even if I go on Facebook on my phone, there's no feed. So when there's no scrolling, I can only access events, talk to my friends, and that's it. And on my computer, I also used a Facebook feed eradicator and removed the feed there. So even if I use Facebook on my computer, there's no feed. So there's nothing that would get me to want to keep looking at something because I can't, it's literally impossible. And so for any other apps that I kind of felt like I had a problem, it wasn't that useful to me, I just deleted it, right? And once I deleted a bunch of stuff, if I felt like I really needed it, I would get it back and re-download it. But if I found that, hey, I actually don't need it at all, well, it disappears from my life and I let it go. And that's how I reduced a lot of my dopamine coming in. And this is very important because you gotta understand that even if your workday is separated between your regular life, you still are using the same brain. So if you are just scrolling through your feed and things like that during your free time, that's 100% going to affect you when you're working. And you might find that, when you're working, sometimes you wanna watch a quick YouTube video in between work, or you wanna check your phone or check this or check that, and you feel like you need this hit of dopamine. Well, that's the reason, is because you're training your brain to want that. And so when you are focused working and you don't want that to happen, you're still using the same brain, so you keep on checking. So that's why you gotta limit your dopamine, whether it's gonna come from, let's say, video games, watching movies, watching Netflix, eating sweet food, that's also another form of dopamine, right? Or maybe even smoking, alcohol, whatever it is, you gotta limit it, just cut it out of your life, and you'll find that you actually don't need it. Now, the next tip that really helped me become a better sleeper is tracking my sleep, okay? So for me, I use a Whoop band, but there's many alternatives like Oura Ring, Fitbit, Apple Watch, right? So no matter what product you wanna use, you just want something that can track your sleep, okay? And the reason is because it's very difficult to improve what you can't measure. So you gotta know how many hours of sleep are you getting, how long does it take for you to actually fall asleep? Is that sleep actually any good, or is it low quality sleep? And these are the things that a sleep tracker will automatically tell you, and just by wearing it, right? And for me, as I started wearing this tracker, here's some interesting things that I've learned. So I learned that if I drink 2, let's say like whiskey, like old fashions or whiskey drinks at night, and I'm gonna try to go to sleep, that definitely harms my sleep. I get less quality sleep. It's harder for me to sleep, and I don't feel good the next day, right? I'm sure for you, if you drink any alcohol, you may not feel good the next day. But I also found that if I drink, let's say, a white wine, just 1 glass before sleeping, or during dinner time, then it doesn't really affect my sleep at all. And so now I know that if I'm gonna go out and everybody's drinking and maybe I wanna drink 2, I'm gonna avoid the whiskeys. I'm definitely not gonna get 2 of them, and maybe I'll just get 1 glass of white wine, and that would be good for me, right? But if I didn't really track my sleep and understand how all the different variables in my regular everyday life affect my sleep, then I wouldn't know what to take out and what to put in. So, everybody's gonna be different. Every body is different. You gotta track your sleep, know what's affecting it, and make sure you stay consistent. Because if you're consistent on that sleep, you're going to feel a lot more energized during the day. And the next tip I have for you is quitting caffeine. Now, for me, I used to be someone that would wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do, go downstairs to my apartment and go to a coffee shop and pick up a cappuccino. Hot cappuccino. I did that for every day for the last few years, okay? And I've tried different things, like I've tried, making coffee at home, doing the pour over coffee and things like that. So I've tried many different things. And, for a long time, I felt like coffee was like my morning ritual, where it would like set me up during the day. I would feel good, I would drink it, that's my routine, and then I can start focusing on work. And that did work, it does work, right? That's why I did it for so many years. But what I've realized is that coffee actually messes you up quite a bit, and not just coffee, but caffeine related products. Because what the caffeine does, right, and I'm not like I'm not a health channel or anything like that, so I'm not like a guru, but based on my research and my understanding and my experience, and of course I could be wrong, what I found is that for me, caffeine, it's like you have this base level of how you are, right, your energy level throughout the day. When you drink caffeine, for me, it gives you a little boost and you feel even better, so it kind of gives you that motivation to push through something, right? But when I'm not on caffeine, I'm actually lower than my base level of what I'm normally at, and I feel like a zombie in the morning. And so when I wake up, basically I feel like a zombie until I drink my coffee. And I felt like that was a problem, because now coffee became a drug that I was reliant on. I need to drink it every morning to actually get any work done. And if I don't drink it, I feel terrible. And so I thought about it, I did some research about it, and I realized that actually I don't need it. And so now I pretty much quit caffeine for the last 3 weeks, maybe over close to a month now. And I gotta tell you, I feel great, right? In the first 5 days of quitting, I felt terrible. I was like, should I even do this? Is it worth it? But I just kept through it. After the week, second week, third week, I wake up, I feel fresh, I don't need coffee. I got the energy to do things without coffee. When I go out to coffee shops, hang out with some people, I just say like, hey, I don't drink caffeine. I just get like a juice or something like that now, right? And not to say I would still drink a coffee, maybe once a month, twice a month, that's okay with me. But to rely on it every day definitely affected me negatively, also affected my sleep. And so now I sleep a lot better just taking in less caffeine. And the next tip is gonna be super obvious, but many people don't do it, and that is just exercise regularly, right? And so for me, I probably exercise maybe 4 or 5, maybe like 4 times a week, right? Consistently like 4 times a week, and sometimes 5, sometimes 3, maybe 3 to 5, I guess, but usually around 4. And I gotta say, like, I've been doing it for a long time, for many years now, and I feel great. I feel as fit as I've ever been in my life, and it gives me a lot of energy during the day, and I don't feel like I'm restless at night. And at this point, I'm not a fitness channel, so I'm not gonna go super deep into it, but there's so much research out there that's available, and I think it's just a no-brainer that exercise is just good for you in just so many different ways. You don't even have to understand why exactly that is, but you just need to do something, whether it's going for a jog. For me, what I do is I do weightlifting, so that's my main thing. It's like kind of like bodybuilding. I go for jogs once in a while, and I play badminton for fun, just with my friends and family and stuff like that. So those are the things that I personally do that I enjoy. Weightlifting is like the main one, but for you, just do something, right? I used to do bouldering, like rock climbing. I used to do yoga like almost maybe a couple times a week. So I've tried many different things. So you can switch it up, to make things interesting, but I gotta say, like, it 100% makes a difference on how you feel, how you sleep, and how much energy you have throughout the day. So if you're not exercising, exercise, multiple times a week, because I promise you that's gonna make a big difference in your life. And the next tip that we have for you is you wanna create a good sleeping environment, right? So when I was a little kid, and my sleeping environment was whatever my parents set up for me, right? They bought my pillows, they had my bed, my blankets, they set up my room. Basically, they had all the decision-making power when I was a little kid, because I don't know anything, right? They just do it for me. So as I get older, I start to realize, like, what I need to do differently to get better sleep, okay? Now for me, the main things that I've done to change my sleeping environment to get much better sleep are this. First is blacking out my windows, okay? So for me, when there's light coming through the windows, it does bother my sleep. And when I was a kid, I didn't really notice it too much, but as an adult, I definitely notice it a lot. So now all my curtains are blacked out, no light comes through, and then I also make sure that the edges of the windows are like tightly secure so that light doesn't come from the side. So my room at night is like a complete black box. Also, if you have like an air conditioner in your room or little lights in your room here and there, right? Like you have, let's say, a speaker or a clock or something like that. These little tiny lights actually, for me, bother me quite a bit because I feel like I always look at it when I'm sleeping, and it does affect my sleep and it's harder to sleep. So I got black tape and I covered all of the little lights so that, to create the feeling that I'm sleeping in a black, dark box. And then from there, it's like, what kind of bed are you sleeping on? What pillow are you sleeping on, right? So basically, I got one of those modern mattresses that, those startup mattresses, and it's actually quite comfortable, very soft, but firm at the same time. And then my pillow is like a concave pillow where it kind of bends so that my neck can rest comfortably. And I found like the other type of pillows don't really fit my neck and it feels too stiff. So, everybody has different bodies, right? So like, you gotta find the one that works for you, but you basically just want to make sure that your bed is comfortable and your pillow is comfortable. And also the sheets that I use are, where I live, it's very humid and hot. So what I did was I got these sheets that are very cool and, hot air passes through really easily so it doesn't feel hot when I, put on my blanket. And I found that like fabrics like cotton, holds in the heat, but I got this, this synthetic different type of fabric that just lets the heat out, and that helped me a lot in just staying cool during the night. I don't feel like I wake up in the middle of the night and sweating or anything like that. It just feels nice. And so by changing those environments, I mean, as I'm saying this, you might think like, oh, these are very simple things, but you gotta understand when you add all these things together, it's going to dramatically improve your sleep, right? And it doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't have to like, track everything to a T. It's just like doing the basic necessities to get better sleep. And that's pretty much it, right? Life is not complicated. It's actually very simple, but it's very difficult to stay consistent and do the simple things over and over and over. So those are gonna be my best tips when it comes to maximizing your sleep for better productivity, because if you do all these things, you're gonna have a lot more energy during the day to work well and have a good night's rest. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this type of video, because normally, I always create these sales type of videos and communication skills, but I want to branch out and share about different topics that are very personal to me. And hopefully, by sharing my story, it can inspire you. So if you enjoyed that, let me know in the comments so I can make more. With that said, my name is Patrick Dang, and I'll see you guys in the next one.